Hey, welcome everybody. Hoping Ben will pop on here in a little bit as well and join me for some Packer post game, Packer Steelers post game. Packers now 3-1. Get the job done. Was it beautiful? No. Was it kind of a little sketchy at times? Sure. But did they win? Yeah, they won. So that's the main point. That is the main thing. Winning games. Style points don't matter in the NFL. It's not like college. Winning the game is the big thing. Throw some stuff in the chat if you want. I'd like to hear your thoughts on the game. We'll see if Ben plugs in or not. We will see. We had some great comments here. Let me just say from Hafeman Bros recently, Balaz, Lee, Zero, some others throwing some really insightful comments here to us about our videos. We appreciate that. We appreciate your thoughts. We appreciate knowledgeable Packer fans holding us accountable, like Ben said. Sometimes we have our own biases, and those might get us a little bit in trouble. But, otherwise, we try to be as forthright and honest with our takes as we can. It's kind of how we see it. But once in a while, yeah, we get a little wrapped up in guys we're pulling for, the underdogs in particular that we're pulling for, like this guy. But hey, I've told you before about that. That look, he had a terrible preseason, didn't look right, didn't look like himself, and didn't deserve to be starting, and he's not. So that's where we're at with my man Lucas Patrick. I still love him. I still think he's a valuable member of the team and can back up a bunch of positions too. So, and I still believe him. If he's got to go in there, that he's going to get the job done. He's going to rise to the occasion. That's what I believe about him. That's what he has proven to me over 6 or 7 years. And I don't know what was going on in the preseason for him or this training camp, but I believe he'll elevate when needed. So, game today, though, the Packers beat the Steelers 27-17. I'll give you a quick recap. Ben doesn't want to play. Ben doesn't want to come. That's fine. I have a sneaky idea why, but no, I'm not going to go there. Disappointing game at times for certain pieces of the Packers, but overall, look, 27-17, they get the win, a 10-point win in the NFL. You can't apologize for it. 3-1, first in the division now. Bears are 2-2. Vikings 1-3 after another loss, and Lions 0-4 after some miscues. So, hey, 4 weeks in, not quite quarter of the way anymore because it's 17 games. So the Packers have the lead. Packers are in first place. Packers are where we expected them to be and thought they should be, and that's where they are. Now, 3-game winning streak after the dud in week 1. Okay. Not all games are going to be clicking. Not all games are going to be beautiful. This game had its moments, had some really key things I'd like to tip my cap to. And then there were some other points where you're like, man, what's happening here? What's the idea? Why did you call that play? Why did you choose to run that situation here? Why do we get away from the run at times? All those things are valid for sure. But let's give credit where credit is due, and then we'll, go from there. So a couple things about stats. Now, look, I'm going to say this before. Kid Kolsch from New Glarus Brewing. If you don't know New Glarus Brewing, little tiny town in southern Wisconsin, turned into a massively successful brewery that now is much more than a microbrew. It's huge and puts out a bunch of product. I don't know if they're shipping out of state yet. I think it's still just in Wisconsin as their distribution. So I don't think you can get it anywhere else, but it's good stuff. Great company, and they give back to the community too. So gotta love New Glarus Brewing. Most famously known for Spotted Cow, but Kid Kolsch, this one's pretty good too. Now, I use Grandpa's opener tonight for that because it's a bottle. Hey, Grandpa was a huge Packers fan, and he would have had some things to say about this game that he wasn't pleased about. He probably would have yelled a few times during the game. But at the end of the day, he would have said, hey, we won. And that's what it's all about. So let's stay focused on that. We can dig into the weeds and give valid, critiques later when we have a little more time. Give you some quick stats, though. 27-17, Packers score 17 points in the second quarter, 10 in the third quarter. And that's all they're scoring. Fourth quarter, they weren't really trying to score too much. Aaron Rodgers had a golden opportunity to Robert Tonyan and underthrew him. That really sucked. But overall, Pretty good game for Rodgers. You got what you needed to him. Some very key plays at key moments as well. And we'll talk about that when we talk about third down efficiency for the Packers today, which was pretty darn good. Total yards, though, 367 for the Packers to 282 for the Steelers. This is kind of your post-game report. Used to give them all the time. I'll give them here on our show, too. Passing yards, Packers 236 to the Steelers 220. Rushing yards, Packers had 131 rushing yards to 62 for the Steelers. Yards per play almost even up with 5.1 for the Pack, 4.9 for the Steelers. First downs, we don't even talk about that, but we'll talk about third down efficiency. Now, the Steelers were 4 out of 11 on third down today. 0 for 2 on fourth down. Packers were 9 of 15 on third down today. 9 of 15. And some of those third downs were third and long. 3rd and 10 to Randall Cobb on a great throw by Rodgers. Another third down conversion to Randall Cobb. Some touchdowns to Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb showed up today. But on a bunch of those plays, 3rd and 10 to a short receiver, that shouldn't happen. But because you got Aaron Rodgers, it does happen. Rodgers made some fantastic throws in those instances. He had some other throws that weren't as great today, but overall, pretty darn good game for him. Some people said it was so-so or meh, but hey, he did pretty darn well and came up big in those third downs, and they needed him to the tune of 9 out of 15 for the Packers. Total plays 72 to 58. Packers had 72 plays, Steelers only 58. Again, they struggled on third down. Roethlisberger, man, really showed. I mean, he is not the same guy he used to be. Can't shake off tackles. Doesn't have a lot of time, granted, with the offensive line he has. They're struggling. The Packers had a pretty good push up the middle today quite often, which bothered him a lot. But, yeah, he doesn't look the same. Looks like this is probably his last year, or should be, or maybe last year should have been his last year, because he's not looking. I was never a huge Roethlisberger fan to begin with. Ben wasn't either. Always thought he was kind of overrated, but he put up some big yardage numbers, big touchdown numbers some seasons when he threw the ball a ton. Is not the same guy anymore, and it was rough today. He helped the Packers out a lot in those third down stops. A number of them were just because of bad throws. 3 punts for each team today. Had great punt by Bojo today as well, out of the end zone, kind of at a critical point in the game. And he boomed one out of there. And I think it was like a 56, 57-yard punt. Really got into it. And it was fair caught, so no return. That was a huge, huge punt and flip of the field. And sometimes you think punts, are they really that impactful? Yes, they can be. And that was a big one because then the Steelers couldn't do anything off of that possession. Packers got the ball back and scored, and it was good times. 1 fumble loss for each team today. Pick by Roethlisberger. Time of possession, Packers had the favor of 34-41 to 25-19. Some individual stats. Look, Roethlisberger, again, he just, it's not good. I mean, just inaccuracy. They threw the ball short a lot. You have to wonder, is that more because of him or more because of the line, or a combination of both? I think it's kind of both. The line obviously struggles to block for very long. But also Roethlisberger was not accurate when throwing downfield. I mean, he missed a couple of touchdown passes that could have changed the whole dynamic of the game if he hits Juju Smith-Schuster, I think, on both of those. I think they were to him. And, he just missed them. Now, yeah, that's kind of reality, man. And again, football is a game of inches and a game of feet and stuff like that. And it's really close. Thin margin, but they miss those deep passes. If they hit them, it could be a really different game. But Roethlisberger not that good anymore. He throws short a lot. I think the telling part for me for the Steelers offense was on a number of third and fourth downs where they threw the ball short and short of the sticks, like didn't even throw the ball beyond the first down. That wasn't the primary read. That wasn't the design play, or at least that's not where Roethlisberger went with it. And yeah, that's a bad sign for you as an offense. All right, enough about Steelers. Let's talk Packers. Aaron Rodgers, 20 out of 36. Not a great completion percentage. He's had, a much better completion percentage here in recent weeks. But, part of that was the end of the first half, kind of rough. He had a number of incompletions there. And then he had like a stretch where they threw too many times in a row where a drive killed. So he had like 7 of those incompletions between those 2 times, just the end of the first half and, in the fourth quarter, mid fourth quarter or something. So you take those 2 things out, pretty good day. Took care of the ball again, 248 yards, 2 touchdowns, including tying Dan Marino on the touchdown list for 6th all time. So no interceptions, no turnovers for Rodgers. AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones, same amount of carries today. AJ Dillon, 15 carries, 81 yards for a 5.4 yard average. Jones, 15 carries, 48 yards for a 3.2 yard average. Aaron Rodgers with 3 carries for 2 yards, 0.7 yard average, but he had the touchdown. He had a rushing touchdown. That's right. So 2 passing, 1 rushing for Rodgers today. Look, Ben and I have talked about this before. We'll probably get more into it on Tuesday. The offensive line is not great, especially at run blocking. Did a little bit better pass blocking today. And actually, let me give some credit. Billy Turner played better today, even though he poked TJ Watt in the eye and did some other stuff, inadvertent, I believe, but he held up better than expected. And Yash looked pretty darn good again. He was finishing blocks, sustaining blocks, pass blocking well. I like him. And I think he should be a starting right tackle. As I said, when Bakhtiari gets back, flip Yash over to right tackle, put Turner on the bench, and he could be a backup guy that comes in if needed. But Yash is playing well, man. That's a guy we didn't see much from in 2 years, and he had a great preseason. LaFleur talked about it this past week, how they felt confident with him, and he earned that right to get a chance to play based on his preseason game performances this year. And I agree. He was their best offensive lineman in the preseason. And I like him. I think he's got something. He's got a lot of ability, and he's putting it together. Randall Cobb, big day. Like we said, 5 catches for 69 yards, 2 touchdowns for him. Davontae Adams, a little quieter day, but that's good. More balance. 6 catches, 64 yards for Adams. Aaron Jones had 3 catches for 51 yards, made some big in-cutting catches over the middle, got open in the zone a couple of times with a lot of room to roam. Good stuff for Jones. He broke some tackles on those plays, pretty effective there. So even though the rushing attempt yardage was down, his attempts weren't down at 15, but even though the average was down running the ball, I thought as a pass catcher, he made some big impacts. Now, it would have been nice if he come up with that catch. And really, you want him to that catch late at the end of the first half and haul that ball in and hang on to it, but he couldn't quite do it. Again, is that his forte to have him running a fade there? Probably not. But the Packers are being more creative with Jones, and they gave him a chance to make the play. He didn't quite come up with that one, but he made some other good plays. Unfortunately, he had the 1 fumble, and that was kind of a stinker. But what do you do there? He also made the wrong read on that run. I mean, if he had just bounced it to the outside a little bit, he's probably off and running for a big gain there, but he kind of squeezed down and followed in behind guys, got bottled up, and then the ball got punched out. And, that was an unfortunate one, but again, didn't cost the Packers the game. They responded. Roethlisberger stunk up the joint, and they did okay. Lazard, only 2 catches today for 33 yards, but big ones as well. A big one, actually, after the Packers got the ball back late in the game. You think they're going to run it. Steelers thought they're going to run. They had a lot of space behind the linebackers, and Lazard got in there, beat his guy to the inside, got a great pass and catch, made a nice adjustment on his slightly behind him, and then he kept running with it, broke some tackles, looked like a big receiver that he is. Dillon with 1 catch for 16 yards. Robert Tonyan, 2 catches for 8 yards today. So a quieter day for Tonyan. I thought he was going to break out this game, and yeah, he had that one up the middle. Wish Rodgers would have hit him on that. That would have been nice. But it didn't happen. So 2 for 8, and Sadie's of 1 for 7. Equinemius St. Brown, no catches, had an opportunity for at least 1, couldn't haul it in. I have questions about St. Brown. We'll talk with Ben on that, hopefully on Tuesday or whatever, to find out, why so much St. Brown today. We both like what we've seen from Malik Taylor, and instead we saw a lot of St. Brown today and not much Malik Taylor, and I have a lot of questions about that. On the defensive side, Davonjay Campbell, again, leading the team with 9 tackles. not as impactful of a game today, but still was cleaning some stuff up, making some plays, had some good coverage at times, so that was important. Eric Stokes had the pick late on a bad throw by Roethlisberger, and Stokes had an up and down game. I know he had the pick. I know he has 8 tackles according to the stat sheet, so overall looks really good, right? But if you have a better quarterback in there, Stokes is out of position sometimes. He had a hard time changing direction today at times, lost his guy in a lot of man coverage. So, the shine worn off a little bit, even though he gets his first interception. The kind of some of the question marks about him were there today. But overall, a pretty solid game for him, just a little bit more inconsistent than I'd like to see. Rashawn Gary had some decent pressure today, got that sack where he pulled Roethlisberger down through the tackle, which was pretty amazing. Although, again, it just speaks to what Roethlisberger used to be. I mean, he used to shake off hits from guys at Gary's size. And today he just got pulled down with just a jersey tug. Pretty sad for him, but good for us. Oren Burks, I thought, played pretty well today overall. He had some nice reads. It seemed like the communication between Burks and the safeties, and it just in general, the inside backers and the safeties was pretty good today. So that, I think, helped allow the Packers to not have any big breakdowns. We didn't see guys running free, guys running open, guys wondering what the heck is going on the Packers defensive secondary or coverage units when they're, defending the pass. And I think that was partly because Burks and Amos and those guys had a lot of good communication on the interior. Chandon Sullivan, okay, quiet game, 3 tackles, but you know what he did? Good coverage today, made some really instinctive plays where he broke off of his guy, recognized the ball was going to be thrown short, and helped attack short pass plays after coming off of his guy when the ball was thrown. So he was anticipating well today, and overall, a really good game by him. Dean Lowry, Kenny Clark, we got a few tackles here and there. Kingsley Keke, only 1 sack, 1 tackle, but he did have consistent push in the middle. Now, the question is that Keke stepping up his game, or is that, wow, this Steelers line is not very good? I don't know. The rest of the season, other matchups will tell, but we hope that it's Keke turning things up a little bit and being more impactful, because we need him. We need him to have that push. We need him to be a good pass rusher for sure. And I thought he was more impactful than Kenny Clark or most of the other guys in the interior today. Although Dean Lowry, give him a little bit of credit, played a pretty solid game overall today. So I'll give, again, some guys that have been maligned, guys that we've been critical of. Some of them played not an outstanding game, not a great game, but a better game and a solid game today. So some up and down stuff. Let's see. Double doink. Okay, sorry, I was just going through stats, so I'm gonna get back to your comments here. Maybe AR should have more input on personnel choices. Cobb, yeah, Cobb was. The first catch he had scared the crap out of me because he didn't catch it and then almost lost it, then got hit, but hauled it in time. And it seemed like after that, he was locked in, and then he was grabbing, sure-handed, making the catches, making the plays. Again, a big thing about Randall Cobb is his smarts and his connection with Rodgers and him seeing the field and seeing the game the same way Rodgers does. So his experience, all that stuff, critical. And then he made plays. It wasn't a lot of man coverage that he was beating, but he found his way past kind of the underneath guy in zones, got to an open spot. The ball was delivered well in a lot of cases. And then give him credit going over the middle. He's a small guy, hung in there and made the grabs. Yeah. So you saw, I talked about it a couple of weeks ago. The value of Randall Cobb was pointed out in a couple of instances, and that's, third downs. I think Randall Cobb helped the Packers with third downs today. He really did. And you see his value there. Even if he only has 2-3 catches a game, he's not going to have 2 touchdown games all the time and 6 catches and all that. We get it. But if he has 3 catches for 25 yards or, 3 catches for 30 yards, but they're third down conversions, that's an impactful game for Randall Cobb for this team. So I see that happening from him. And I think he still has some value. Bruce, how you doing? He says, think Campbell has made a difference for the defense. Yeah, He has. I mean, he's certainly an upgrade. We've talked about it recently on the show, and Ben and I have mentioned it, and I've come around on him a lot. I wish he was more physical. That's kind of my only thing for him. I wish he was more physical hitter. That's not who he is. He's not a physical hitter guy, but he is fast. He gets in position. He does anticipate and read pretty well, and his coverage is better at inside linebacker than anybody we've had for quite some time. So overall, Campbell, big upgrade. The other thing, Bruce, that I just said before is I felt like the communication between linebackers and secondary was much better than we've seen in a bunch of games over the years, especially recent years. So perhaps that's Joe Barry. Perhaps Joe Barry simplifying the defense, simplifying the calls. The guys at least understand what they're supposed to be doing, right? I don't know how many times we watched games over the last couple of years with Pettine as the coordinator, and you just see a free runner, or you see guys, Packer secondary guys looking at each other and pointing and figuring out, oh, who's supposed to do that? Or you see guys moving around a lot right before the snap and out of position. Barry talked about that, and maybe that's a key. We've said it for a while. Just if the guys know what the heck they're doing, don't make it so damn complicated. Then they can play faster. If it's a simplified system, right? They know their roles and they can play faster. They're probably going to do better. It doesn't matter. You don't have to trick the other quarterbacks all the time. Sometimes you just got to play your defense, allow your guys to feel comfortable in it, and turn them up, and then get some pressure like they did today. And it works out pretty good. Bernard, how you doing? Yeah, great win. Be happy, right? I mean, we got to enjoy the wins. It's 3-1 after 4 games. If somebody told you Packers are going to be 3-1, how would you feel? Pretty good, right? 3-1, top of the division. Bears are the next closest team at 2-2. They're scared of the Bears. I'm not. Vikings, who we thought were going to be more of a contender, down at 1-3. Now they could turn things around and get some wins, and yeah, fine. But look, so going to be a really long season, even longer than normal. You know, the regular season goes into January for the first time, and there's a lot of growth for this team to happen. There's a lot of other things. We had some injuries today, which those could be iffy and scary. But yeah, I mean, overall, I didn't want Ben to get ribbed or taken too hard about Jones fumbling. Jones not coming up with that catch. But you know, Ben's criteria and stuff like that, talking about guys that make a lot of money, he expects more out of them. And so those are two things that one that should have happened, the catch, and the fumble shouldn't have happened. But you know, hey, it's not great on the O-line, and we can talk about it. AR did spread it around better today. Yeah. I would have hoped that Ben would give him credit for that, but you never know with Ben. You never know. He likes to hammer on Rodgers, and that's fine. But you know what? Rodgers played a good game today. I don't care what people say. They're going to, and the stats will look a little differently because of those stretches of incompletions. Yep. Stokes, 8 tackles and 1 pick, double doink. You're right. Overall, but again, from him, I saw a lot of up and down, and he's a rookie. I get it. But I think the thing that concerns me a little bit is kind of the inability for him to change direction quickly was exposed today, which if we had a more accurate quarterback that we were facing, I think Stokes would have given up 3-4 more completions today. And it could have been, you know, I mean, the penalty he had on the goal line was because he got juked and then couldn't change direction and grabbed and held. So those are things we knew about him. We hope they find a way to use him best. So maybe he's not put in those positions, and maybe that's just a different philosophy, you know, letting him play off a little bit more, attack the short passes more. Don't make him play up press where he has to react to what the receiver's doing, unless you're going to like press and shield and force a guy to the outside. If you do that, I feel comfortable with him running with a guy at the sideline. No problem. I'm just not all that comfortable with him, you know, trying to react and change direction with some of these receivers that he's going to face. Still better than Kevin King. Sorry, Bernard. He's still better than Kevin King for sure. Now, Jair comes up, tries to make a big boy play, and he has done that at times. At times he's shied away from tackles, and kind of on that one, you kind of wish he probably would have, even though it was a 4th down play and a big play. But yeah, I don't know what the deal is. I don't know what the deal is, man. I hope he's going to be okay. We're getting thin there at corner. Shamar Jean Charles was in at the end of the game. So I don't know. Maybe we want Kadar Holman back. Can we get Kadar? I mean, I don't know. Tremont come out of retirement, maybe. I'd be good with that if Tremont wanted to come out of retirement and wanted to talk to him. But yeah, it's that those are scary. Savage went down again. It's like, holy yikes! Some of these guys dropping. They got to hopefully they're all good. And hopefully Jair's I think he's gonna have some x-rays coming. Hopefully they're negative and that's okay. But regardless, there are ways the defensive coordinator can adjust and help guys out. Part of that is making sure they've got, they're playing the right defense with the guys they have. So if you don't have Jair, and you got Stokes who's struggling with guys changing direction, let's not play bump and run man so much, or let's not leave those guys out on the island so much. If it's going to be, your other two rookies starting corners for you, for a while or next week or whatever it is. So anyway, crossing fingers. Hopefully Jair is okay and back in there. Hopefully Savage is back in there because I think Savage is playing the best I've seen him play this year. He's attacking plays more. He's playing fast. He's playing coverage, but he is diagnosing quicker and coming up and breaking things up, or coming up and attacking short pass plays, run plays, things like that, can be a big difference when you have speed, and he has speed. So I know he's not a big thumper, but he's got speed. And if he can get guys on the ground from the middle of the field, that's an impactful guy. On the offensive side, I want to switch over to that. Bernard, why do Packers fans rip Rodgers? I don't know. But look, as far as Aaron Rodgers goes, and I was talking to my sister about this today, because my son's birthday was yesterday. He's 14 now, and we had some family over today, kind of celebrating that. And my sister, said how last week she's like, and I just thought with 37 seconds left, we're going to win this game. And I was like, but that's not normal. That's not supposed to be. Like, people aren't supposed to expect that. Fans aren't supposed to expect that. They might hope for it, but on a normal team, they aren't supposed to expect that. But people expected that of Aaron Rodgers. So when he did it, I don't even think people made nearly as big of a deal about what he did in those 37 seconds. With the other guys in offense, I understand. But Runyon gave up quite a bit of pressure in the middle in the first throw, and Newman gave up a bunch of pressure on the second throw, and Rodgers still made those throws. So, and he managed the clock and managed the team. Everybody knew what they're doing. Now, part of that is coaching. Credit to the coaching. They practiced those late game situations. They all had to be on the same page. We talked about veteran leadership like Cobb and Adams, guys who know what's going on, to get them lined up correctly on the outside and make sure they're lined up correctly on the outside. All those things played a factor in the way that game ended. But my sister said, she's like, I expected it. I knew we were going to do it. And then I'm like, yeah, but without Aaron Rodgers, that probably doesn't happen. With a different quarterback, that probably doesn't happen. Or maybe once in a while it'll happen, but it's not something you would expect. So Packers fans do not appreciate Rodgers enough. I don't care what Ben says or anybody else says. And he'll maybe come in and refute me on our next show and tell me I'm Rodgers loving and all this stuff. Look, that's fine, but we're going to find out soon enough what the team will be like without Rodgers. And in the NFL, the truth is 7-8 games a year, right, are going to come down to the end of game scenarios. Are you making the right decisions, the right plays, managing the clock, and then sometimes making those plays that most people can't make in order to win? You make more incredible plays than the other team did, and that's why you win, right? In a lot of cases. And a lot of times it comes back to your quarterback. And when we don't have the quarterback to do that, the Packers can take those 7 or 8 games a year, and instead of winning 6 or 7 of them, they might win 2 or 3 of them. And then you're not in the playoffs, and then you don't win the division. But we'll see how it all goes. We'll see what happens. It's a long season. I want to focus on this year. Anyway, don't take Rodgers for granted. And he did play a good game today. Let's see, because he's making 40 million. Sorry, Bruce. I'm missing that is because that's okay. You expect it because he's making that much. Okay, I got it. Although I don't think he's quite at 40 right now, but I'm not sure about the restructured contract. Maybe you know it. But it's also because he's awesome and because he knows what he's doing and because he can process information quicker than almost anybody. And his brain and his recall are ridiculous for football players. So, I mean, for any human, really, but definitely for football players, it's a piece to him that people don't appreciate enough. It's his brain, his recall, and how much command and control he has, and how that helps the team in those crazy situations. All right. Anyway, that's last week. Packers win at 3-1. The one thing I'm a little concerned about, and sadly it'll be soon. No, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen this year. We don't know what's going to happen with the team after this year yet. We'll see. I understand what it looks like. I understand the forecast, but you know what the forecast was today for outside backyard time with family? Originally, that forecast said thunderstorms, 70-80% chance of thunderstorms in the afternoon. And you know what we got as the day went on from yesterday into today, and the day even went on a little further into the morning. All of a sudden, it was 30% chance of thunderstorms. And instead of being for like 5 hours straight, it was like, 30% chance for about an hour, and then 30% chance for an hour, a few hours down the road. And you know what? We got no thunderstorms. So I'm just saying things can change, guys. So hang in there. We'll see. But like we said, we do need to enjoy it now. That's a very good point. Double doink. We have to enjoy it and try to enjoy the season. So don't get so wrapped up in how the Packers win if they win. Now, we understand some things need to be better. One thing is the offensive line. There wasn't a lot of holes today to run through. They stuck with the run, though, and they ran the ball quite a bit. They abandoned it a couple of times, and they probably should have stuck with it. But overall, they ran the ball quite a bit, even though the line wasn't blocking great. Jones found some little creases at times. Dillon ran through some tackles at times. And overall, okay. The one thing I'll say about the Packers running game, yeah, we can rip Ben, I know. Oh, yeah. Oh, trust me, Bruce. When AR is not on the team, and if the Packers don't look good, I will hammer the crap out of Ben. Oh, I will. I'll give it to him all day long in this show. And he'll yell back, but I don't care because he'll deserve it at that point. Sorry, bro. But the one thing I think was shown a couple of times, and I've talked about this before, about my expectations for offensive linemen, then I'll wrap up and we'll get out of here. But my expectations for offensive linemen, I guess, are too high. I want guys that sustain blocks, that, engage with the guy. I don't need road graders that plow you to the ground. I just need guys that stay on blocks and get in the way, and then let your athletes find a crease. At times you need to have a push, yes, but overall, blocking at any level of football is just being between your man and your running back, or your man and the receiver that you're blocking for, or whoever it is, whether it's on a screen pass or whatever. Mostly it's getting in the way. Okay. The Packers, and then staying in the way. The Packers offensive line, these guys are not good at sustaining blocks. And so maybe that's across the league. I don't know, but I just feel like it's not that hard to do. It's more of like a try hard thing, like a want to thing. Sometimes if you overcommit and overpress and try to plow a guy, you get off balance and they can shake you and shove you or swim you or whatever. And that can get you in trouble. So that's why sometimes it's better not to attack super hard as a lineman. And they work on their techniques supposedly all the time, whatever. But it's mostly about getting in the way and being in the way and staying that way. And I just have a hard time with these guys that can't sustain a block for more than a second. It's like they kind of get on a guy and then they disengage and then they stand around. And that makes me crazy. So One thing we learned was the Packers tried to run in some key situations today. They tried to run outside zone. Even with Dillon, they tried to run way outside, way outside. Well, when you run way outside, especially from, if your back's in shotgun and he's offset, or if he's directly behind the quarterback, those guys have to hold their blocks even longer. They have to sustain blocks even longer than if you just run inside zone, or you're running up the middle and letting the back choose the hole somewhere in the middle, right? This offensive line does much better when they just try to run inside zone. I don't like the outside zone for this team again. And mostly because I understand it allows your back some more room, sort of. But if your pursuit's fast and guys aren't holding their blocks, your back's toast. They're not going to have much of a chance. Whereas we see it all the time with Jones. If you run him in the middle, he just finds that little opening and then he squirts through there. And then he's got some chance to break something or chance to make it a bigger run. And Dillon had some opportunities like that too. Much more effective running when the Packers just went, okay, inside zone, up the field. Let's not stretch things out. Let's not try to go to the sideline. That's not their forte as running backs, but it's definitely not their forte as offensive blockers. So that's what I want to see. More inside running, less outside running will equal more effective running for the Green Bay Packers. That's all I got for you. Big things are, again, Packers win 27-17. Look, if you didn't watch the game and you just saw the score, would you be happy? Ask yourself that question if you're upset right now, if you're nitpicking stuff or feeling like it wasn't that great of a win. 10-point win. Feel pretty good about it. You should. Packers did the job. All right. They win it. Are 3-1, leading the division, and back where they should be on top in the NFC North, sorry. But also with a fast track to, hey, a good seed, the playoffs, all that good stuff can be ahead of them as long as they keep up the good work on most fronts and stick with managing the game, making the plays that need to be made when they're made, like third down to Randall Cobb. Give him some cred. All right, you guys take care of yourselves. Be well, stay well. Go Pack, go for sure. And I'm going to try to get Ben in for Tuesday recap if we can. Do a little more breakdown at that point. And we're going to have more structure this week. We're bringing more structure so we can get back to some of the things we used to do, which is kind of like good efforts, things that need to be improved. Oh crap moment or a WTF moment. And some of those things we used to do back in the day when we started this stuff, we'll bring them back, bring a little more structure. And of course, maybe yell at each other a little bit. That's always fun. All right. Packers win. Peace out.